Well, hello and welcome to the Villa View post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. Tom Julian here, joined by Dan Bardell. Aston Villa 0, Wolves 1. Dan, hugely disappointed once again.
Yeah, just so pedestrian. Like when you're losing a game, you expect to see a little bit of intensity and urgency. It just looked like we were happy with a 1-0 defeat. I didn't think Wolves were brilliant, but I feel like we've said that in 3 of our 4 games that the opposition weren't very good. Yet still, we haven't managed to win a game. And as I said in the last few shows, I cannot see where a goal is coming from, and I cannot see where wins are coming from either. All the chances again today, you tweeted about it. They fall to Courtney Hawes. They all bounce off his head and go into the empty seats. Like, we just don't ever look like we're going to score a goal. Our attacking play is almost non-existent. No shots on target in the second half. Wolves probably had 1 shot on target. They scored. We don't, and we lose the game consequently.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into the match action. And first of all, I should say apologies to anybody who tuned in for the Newcastle post-match pint. We had some major issues with our software, which hopefully have now been cleared up. We've got 3 more guests lined up for tonight, and you can always get your comments in on the stream. But it just felt like a frustrating afternoon from Oyen Neelan's weird throw out, which went straight to Jota, to the lack of penetration by Samatta and Davis, even to Jack Grealish's overhit balls. It just felt frustrating and just a bit off the whole time.
Again, there's not really any positive you can come out with from that game. I get that we're a lot more solid. I like that because we were conceding goals for fun. But it's just made us completely impotent. We don't ever look like we're going to score, and we're not acting and behaving like a team that's in trouble. It's like we want to draw our way to safety, and you can't do that because we will always ship. 9 times out of 10, we'll concede a goal or we've got a mistake in us. I mean, we were lucky not to get punished for that Neyland one. It's obviously he's just made a genuine mistake. It slipped out of his hand, but Jota should have scored. The Wolves fans on the BT looked like they couldn't believe that they'd missed. And the Villa fans, it's almost resignation, isn't it? Because we're sleepwalking to relegation. We don't look like we understand we're in a relegation battle. And again, we make subs. There's just no improvement. There's nothing to come off the bench. We've switched the system up a little bit today. We've got the 2 up front that everyone's been pining for, but really overall, I don't think it makes too much difference. I thought, why wasn't Samatta playing on the shoulder a little bit more to work with Davis's hold up and link up play? They both seemed to drop deep. To me, I thought Davis did okay. He was probably one of the few shining lights in the team today. It's a derby game as well. That's the other thing. I know it's not a proper derby. It's not Blues, but you know what? Just a little bit of passion. I think we miss the crowd as well at Villa Park. Obviously, we had 6 home games left. That's 50% of them done, and we've got 2 points to show from it.
Yeah. Were you surprised with the 2 up top? Was that a surprise to you, Dean Smith making that change?
I don't think it's something he wants to do, but I think because we ended the Newcastle game quite well with 2 up front, he probably felt he had to a little bit. He had to at least give it a try, but I know it's not something he'll want to do long term. I'm pretty sure against the bigger boys that we've got coming up, you'll see 1 up front again. But it just doesn't seem to matter what system we play because we don't ever look like we're going to score a goal. And it's just a miserable watch, isn't it? I'm sat there at home and I'm not enjoying myself. There's nothing to get excited about. I just wanted to be over and get it over and done with and come on here and get this over and done with as well, to be fair. I don't know why on earth we brought the Villa View back.
Yeah, it was almost a relief when we couldn't get on air and talk about the disappointment on Sunday, on whenever it was now, against Newcastle. And it almost felt like, come on, if it doesn't work tonight, we don't have to relive it all again. But we will, because that's what we do as fans. You know, we obsess about, well, we could have done this or we should have done that until the next game. And lucky for us, next game will be a walk in the park against Liverpool, I'm sure. Do you think that Liverpool might ease off the pace a little bit?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No.
There'll be some kind of records that they can smash, I'm sure, isn't there? There'll be some kind of points total to aim for or goals scored or something, I'm sure. If anything, I think it arguably makes it harder because we know they've won the league anyway. But just the fact they've now physically, it's confirmed, they can just completely relax and play shackle free. Yeah. We'll have the shackles on, I'm sure, and we're in a dogfight and we don't know it. And I'm not looking forward to Liverpool. The only positive I can come up with is that it's a week away.
Yeah, a little bit of time to recover for the fans and the players as well. Let's get our first guest on, Dan from the heart of the Holt. We've got Dan Morgan joining us. We should see him in any minute now, if the technology does us a favour. It does.
Yeah, last.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on.
A pleasure.
No
How are you, Dan? You okay?
To be honest, I'm not really feeling anything after that, lads. It's a frustrating performance. I'm neither overly joyed or overly upset at what I've seen. To say I expected it would be a bit of an understatement, but I'm doing okay, I guess.
It's just that general apathy, isn't it? We were talking off camera before we came on, and you just feel apathetic when you're watching us at the moment, because I don't know about you, I didn't get up off my chair once.
No, I think the only time I got up was to go and get myself a drink to make watching that a bit easier. It was it's a hard watching Villa at the moment, and I mean, as you kind of touched on before, the fans getting what they want with two up top. I don't necessarily think a 4-4-2 diamond is essentially what we saw. I don't really think that's the answer, and I think today proved that the two strikers were isolated, to say the very least, and I don't think we saw enough from the midfield.
Specifically, what did you make of Jack Grealish today? Because that was the kind of concern that Smith had in terms of bringing him into a tighter diamond and not being able to kind of drift off to the left or attack in from the wings. What did you make of Grealish today, then?
I think, to be honest, Tom, the first half we probably saw the better of Grealish. He didn't really get as close to Keenan and Samagol as we would have liked, I don't think, hence why they were isolated. I think if we've essentially got our survival hopes pinned on Jack Grealish, and we're not really doing our best to get him into the game at the moment. There was the one chance he had where he had the shot straight down the barrel at Rui Patricio, but other than that, he didn't really create a lot. It's frustrating having to see Jack drop deep into that sixth position to try and pick up the ball and instigate an attack, because it's all right him picking the ball up back there, but then whoever's receiving the ball obviously isn't Jack Grealish, isn't in a good enough position or has the ability to take the ball on, beat defenders, and essentially just breach the defence. It's frustrating, and I don't really think that we can win essentially with where to play Jack Grealish, because he scored goals out on the wing, and that's why Smith played him out on the wing. Before the break, 9 goals in the Premier League is remarkable, especially considering we don't even think he's in his best position. But we've moved him on the inside, and whether it's the system or the management, it's just not really worked today.
I think it's interesting you talk about the system and the diamond, because generally it's a system that I quite like. I remember we played it quite well under Tim Sherwood at one point, but the 4 central midfield players that were playing today, they're within 10-15 yards of each other, and you absolutely have to have fullbacks that bomb on, and Target does do that, to be fair, but he obviously went off. There's just no width, and we don't seem to be able to spread the play and make use of the big pitch yet. Wolves, obviously more so when Traore came on, they make use of the big pitch and take advantage of their system. I never think it's a good sign when the manager keeps changing formation either. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, I think he's kind of succumbed to the peer pressure of what the fans want. And, if you check Twitter, everyone was asking for this 4-4-2 or at least a 2 up front. Personally, I'd have rather have seen a 3-5-2 or a 5-3-2. Obviously, depending on whether you're in the attacking or defensive phase, I think if you pack the midfield, we would have contained Wolves a lot better than we did today. But as well as you say, it's about the width, and starting Ezri Konsa at right back was absolutely the wrong thing to do. And as we kind of spoke about before we went on air, considering Dean Smith absolutely hung him out to dry in the media after the Newcastle game, for him to then go and start him, I find astonishing, especially when Al Mohammadi scored the goal that kind of got us the point at St James's. And on that Target, I never truly know how to feel about him. In the last game against Wolves, he went off injured because he threw up on the pitch or something like that, and it was no surprise to Villa fans to see him go off with an injury. Well, he could have been injured, we don't know that, but seeing him come off in the first half, I wasn't at all surprised, knowing the task ahead he had of marking Adama.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Wolves for a second, because I think we've got the stats somewhere, producer Adam, and we were looking at them before it all we went live here tonight. And one of the stats is that we had more attacks than Wolves. I think 110 to 106. That seems very surprising to me, considering whenever Wolves picked up the ball, they looked dangerous. They played these beautiful crossfield balls. Connor Cody, Johnny, Donker. They used their wings so well, and when Adama Traore came on as well, they were even more dangerous. How do you think? I mean, how could Villa have coped with that better? There are the stats right there. How do Villa kind of cope with that? And then two, how do we replicate that? How do we make these attacks actually mean something? Because I think we all know that we're not incisive at all right now.
Yeah, it's a really tough question, Tom, because Villa don't look like they're potent in attack at all. We're trying to rely on goals from set pieces, and even the set pieces haven't been, have been anything short of quality. For someone like Conor Hourihane to be on the pitch as well, it's very disappointing to see we didn't really make the most of the set plays, because Grealish won a lot of fouls. There were a lot of free kicks and corners that were up for grabs, and Villa didn't really capitalise on them. I think, as I kind of touched on before, I think the way Villa, if not get the better of Wolves, at least contain them, is by packing the midfield. It was very brave of Dean to opt with a narrow 4-4-2 diamond, because with that formation, as Dan said earlier, you've got to rely on your wing backs getting forwards in terms of, and putting the balls in the box, which is all we seem to really do. We seem to like to cross the ball a lot, and considering Keenan Davis and Ali Samata aren't the tallest of strikers, or even, dare I say, the most prolific strikers, it doesn't really seem to work. I think certainly getting the ball to the byline and putting the ball into the box low and hard is the way Villa should have done against all of our teams since we've restarted, really. And I think we would have possibly seen one or two more goals for the Villa, dare I say it, if we'd have opted for the hard and low approach instead of pumping the ball into the air and hoping that our 5'10" striker in Samata can score a header. It's hard to understand, and I think, as I kind of touched on, if you pack the midfield with a 3-5-2, obviously your width coming from the fullbacks, I'd have opted with Elmo and Target. Obviously, Target got injured, and we did end up seeing Elmo anyway. I just think, even though this is a home game, I think Wolves play counter-attacking football. Everybody knows that, and we all know they get better in the second half. Yeah. And I think, given the shocking amount of possession we've had in recent games, would it not have suited Villa to have let Wolves have the ball and let Wolves try and dictate the game a bit more, give them something more to think about than having to constantly just spring on the counter-attack? It's instinctive for them. So if you give them the ball, give them something a bit different to think about, and hope we can catch them on the break. For me, this game was very tough. I don't think we were going to get 3 points before the game had even kicked off. So even though I hate saying it, I think we should have looked to have got a point from this game. And even when we went down, we didn't look like we were trying to get a point from this game either, to be honest.
Just finally from us, Dan, I haven't been on social media. I daren't go on after a Villa loss. But where do you stand with Dean Smith? Because I'm imagining he's going to be getting some stick from an element of the fans. Yeah,
I mean, I think, as you kind of touched on, Dan, the fact he's even fathomed going to up top, which is something Dean Smith has never really done. He's not done that at Walsall or Brentford. It's not looking good to see he's kind of given into that kind of peer pressure. Personally, I think this is a project, and I know we spoke before about Christian Purslow and the kind of vision and how the club's going. I don't think it does Aston Villa any benefit sacking Dean Smith, if I'm honest. We're clearly out of our depth. The recruitment had to be done, and it was poor, but we lost something like 13 players in the summer, so we had to make up the men and try and keep the spending low as well. I think if we go down, obviously we're lucky in the fact that I think they've said FFP doesn't count for next year, so Villa will have money to spend, because I can't see Jack Grealish staying if Villa go down. And with FFP not counting as well, I think Villa can... there's a really good chance for Villa to rebuild, sign some players. I think we've just got to trust Smith. I think the promotion came far too soon. I think people don't realise that we were a middle-of-the-table Championship side until Jack Grealish came back and essentially dragged us up to the Premier League, and he's done his best to try and keep us there, but honestly we can't keep relying on Grealish to stay up. So in short, I'm Smith in, to be honest, Dan and Tom.
Good.
Yeah. I think I am still just about. I've seen some worrying signs in the last couple of games, to be honest. But I still believe that he has the ability as a manager and a tactician and a motivator to do what needs to be done, whether that's in the Premier League or in the Championship. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Great to have you on, and hopefully we can do it again soon, even next season in the Premier League still.
Hopefully, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Dan Bardell, I kind of wanted to just talk about something that Dan mentioned there, which was this kind of peer pressure of the two up top. And I can't give a name to the quote, but there was a famous coach who said, when you start listening to the fans, you soon become a fan yourself. Ultimately, if you keep listening to the fans, you're going to get sacked sooner or later. Do you think Dean Smith was bowed to the peer pressure here, or do you think it's something that, like, he's just rolling the dice on another kind of tactic and the fans don't have too much of an effect on that?
I really don't think that the manager of Aston Villa Football Club pays attention to what the fans are saying on social media. You'd never be able to pick a team or come up with any tactics if you did that. I think it comes from the fact that we ended the game in Newcastle quite brightly with two up front, so I think it probably stems from that. He's probably looked at Wolves as well and thought they play three at the back. If we play one up front, perhaps they'll be isolated against three centre-backs, give them something different to think about with two up there. But I genuinely think we could have done anything today, and we'll struggle because I don't think we've got the personnel. And I'm glad that Dan's Smith in and that you are too. I stand by him. I still think he's been badly let down. Someone tweeted me at half-time, giving me a bit of stick, saying you were behind the recruitment. Well, yeah, I was, because I knew we needed to buy players, but now I've watched a lot of them play. I don't think they're that great, which tells me the recruitment's been poor, and we knew we didn't do enough in buying strikers in the summer. So I think we've made our own problems. I think Smith's struggling to get a tune out of the side, but I'm not anti-Smith, because I've seen what he can do in the past, and you cannot say this is Smith football, because I don't think he can play the type of football he wants.
Oh, it's all kicking off, I think, with our next guest. The dogs are out. So the Wolves, yeah, indeed, very good. I wish I'd be quick enough to come up with that myself. Well, should we get our next guest on then?
Because not that wolf though. We don't want the wolf on.
No. So Jay Morgan going to join us anytime now on the screen, I think. We shall see. There he is, Jay. How did you feel about that game? What did you think about the season in general? Give us your thoughts.
I thought it was quite even first half, and then second half they had the better chances. They're a good team at the Wolves. No denying that, what they've done. But the season's just flattered to deceive, isn't it? It's just
Peter out, isn't it?
Big time, yeah, big time. It's quicker than what I thought.
Yeah, because you've had the unfortunate thing of watching with a load of Wolves fans today, haven't you? How did they see the game?
Yeah, level-headed, to be fair, this lot. Unlike the rest of them in Wolverhampton. Yeah, we've sat there and we've had a good chat about both teams. And the Wolves are set out really well. I'm really glad we went up top today.
Yeah.
But it didn't work. We haven't got a talisman striker, have we? We haven't got a Dion Dublin. We've got two young kids there, first season in the Premier League. Jack's got a drag. Well, no, it's not even up to Jack Grealish now. It's up to all 11 players that are on the pitch. And, I don't want to say, sadly, it's not working, but we've got to carry on with two up top.
One thing I found interesting, I don't know whether anybody else finds this interesting. Often when I find something interesting, nobody else does. But with the no crowd situation, I hope to hear more from our leadership when we can, on the pitch, when you're playing on a Saturday afternoon or whatever, you can obviously hear the captains and the leaders bellowing. I don't feel like I've heard Mings anywhere near as much as I thought, or Grealish, or these kind of leaders in the dressing room. I don't know if that is something that you've thought about, Jay, or you've noticed. Where is our leadership right now, and where's the inspiration coming from?
Yeah, I agree with Mings. Mings is a leader. I think personally with Mings, since he's been called up to the England squad, I think sometimes he goes a bit Hollywood. I think sometimes he takes an extra touch when he doesn't need to. He's starting to, a bit of sloppiness at times has come into his game, I think. I think it hasn't helped us we haven't had a settled back four. It's not as if we've gone through, nearly 30 games now with the same back four. But But there's no real leaders on the pitches there. You look at Mings, you look at Grealish, and really that's about it for me. But sorry, just to carry on the point there about the backroom staff. The most experience that group of coaches have is every game that we play in the Premier League. That is it. I think we should have brought in. We've had 100 days off. We should have brought in somebody with a bit of Premiership nous. I'm not saying to help Dean Smith. He should have brought somebody in just in the back room and said, "We need something a little bit different. Can you help me till the end of the season?" I'm not going to sack. I'm not saying Dean Smith should be sacked. He needs help. He needed help, should I say?
Are you surprised that generally all round, because I've mentioned this so many times now, I'm sick of my own voice, but in the summer we bought Tom Heaton because he had Premier League experience, the goalkeeper. If that hasn't been replicated anywhere else, and it just looks so naive now, doesn't it?
It does. I think you mentioned it, or one of the lads mentioned it in the last week. James Chester. Why not keep him on board? Just because he's been there and he's done it. You need players. If you look at the squad list, if you look at how many Premiership games there is within that squad, it's not a lot.
No.
It doesn't matter if you're an international, you've got international caps, because at this level, the Premier League is a different beast to playing international football for a lower echelon of nation, if you know what I mean. It's a different beast, and it's just something that, as a group, Aston Villa at the moment haven't adapted to. If we go down, we go down. I'm not really bothered. We need to reassess everything. I want Dean Smith to stay, but I think him as a coach needs to reassess what he needs to do.
Well, let's talk about the current table and where Villa sit. I think we can bring it up on the screen right now. And Jake, what your honest opinion? We've got only a few games left to kind of salvage this situation, and it doesn't look great once again. Do you think we will stay up? Obviously we can stay up, but do you think we will?
Of course, I'm a Villa fan. Of course, yes, we will stay up.
I'm not sure that defines it.
But you know what? The West Ham game was spoken about at the start of the season. At the start of the season, if you'd said to me it goes into a last day shootout at West Ham before all the COVID stuff, yes, I would have taken it. Now, I just cannot see us scoring a goal. And that is it. And goals win games. That is it. So to go to West Ham on the last game of the season, you saw it at Newcastle the other night. We were half decent, but we need to convert the chances that we're making, and we're not making enough chances. And that, to me, that's ultimately, if we go down, it's our own fault. It's our own doing.
I mean, the expected goals today must be about minus 10 from us. I mean, there can't have been an expected goal there. I'm not sure if that's how it works. It probably isn't. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ever look like we're going to score a goal?
No, and that's because the two lads up front, willing and able, but not very able to be fair. They're both playing with the backs to goal. How many times did we see a ball from our centre half on a diagonal turning their defence? Newcastle did it the other night. Wolves have done it today. We never do it. Dan was saying earlier in the previous piece, we're just too slow on the ball. If we get the ball out wide, two touch, get it in the box. Let's turn their defence, and we do not do it. That's all down to Dean Smith, John Terry, and the other members of the coaching staff. Yeah. But they're experienced coaches, obviously not at this level, but they've played the game. And it's not happening. But if we can see it as a group of fans, I coach under 21s team on a Saturday morning. We do it, so why can't they do it? And that's what frustrates me at the moment. That's what this season has gone for me. But it's what we need to do to kick on. Alex Ferguson used to change his number 2 every few seasons just so it was freshened up all the time. And look what he. And no way am I comparing, before I see it in the Sunday Sport, Dean Smith to Alex Ferguson.
Well, somebody's got to make that comparison. All right, before we let you go, we've now got a week to prepare for the champions. What changes would you like to see in that lineup for next Sunday's game?
We go into the game with no fear. We play two up top again. We maybe tinker around with the midfield. Connor looked a bit lost, I think, on the right hand side because he hasn't got a right foot. Ideally, there would have been a diagonal ball from him today. Put it on his left. Didn't happen. I would tinker with the midfield. Luis has been he's enjoyed his 100 days off because he's come back and he's an absolute baller. So I'd keep with Luis. I'd keep with Grealish. I'd tinker with the other two. We stay with two up top, and we just go for it. We go, just enjoy our football. I know it's hard to say because of where we are in the table. We need to try and relax a little bit more. Maybe we will get something. We've had some good results against Liverpool over the last few years. They've won it now. They've got the cup. They've got the trophy in the back pocket. Let's just go up there and let's just show them what Aston Villa can be. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, let's hope because we need it. At some point, we need it. Jay, thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, lads. Thank you.
Post-match Pint, and we'll speak to you soon.
Cheers. See you later, lads.
I'm just wondering what this enjoying football is Jay's talking about. I can't remember that.
He's been having a few beers this afternoon, and it's all good when you've had a couple of beers. And now he's going to get an ice cream. Apparently,
someone's getting an ice cream. Yeah, I think it's an ice cream van in my ear.
But just to pick up on that a little bit, and that kind of that kind of lack of. Or the kind of built-up pressure that Villa players seem to have on their shoulders right now. As a player, how do you? Well, as a player to you, but how would a player get rid of something like that? How do you take this week and just go, all right, lads, we need to relax, recoup, and get better because right now we're too tense, it ain't working.
I don't know, because the sound bites you hear in the media and out of the club all seem pretty positive and pretty content with what's going on, but I'm sitting there watching the 4 games and I'm not happy and I'm not content, and I'm quite an easily pleased Villa fan. Let's face it, over the years I've always been quite positive.
Yeah.
There was talk about like the crowd and some players would play better with no crowd, but I have not seen any evidence of that at all. I've always thought there's an element of poison in the Villa fan base that get on the players' backs and stuff, but to be honest, it hasn't made a difference, has it? The players still look a little bit scared at times. It's the slowness. Sorry, in the way we're moving the ball, there's just no purpose whatsoever, and it's baffling to watch. And that's maybe where the crowd are missed, because if that happens, they'll G them on, and some of them will get on the back, and they might move the ball a little bit quicker and be a bit more inspired. They just look devoid of inspiration at the moment. Yeah.
Well, one player that hasn't been devoid of inspiration, I would say, and Jay mentioned him as well, and you've actually had a lot of praise for him in the last few games, was Douglas Luiz. And yep. I mean, I think he has been our best player since the restart. He looks composed. He's doing a lot of work. He's pretty good getting the ball out and spraying it around. There's been a couple of misplaced passes, but I don't think we can put everything on him. He's looked like a different player to the first part of the season.
Yeah, and again, it's something I've taken stick for on social media, and I'm quite happy to take stick for it, because I obviously did the tweet that I did before Christmas, because I didn't think he was playing well. I'm not going to delete it because I said it, but again,
he wasn't playing well.
No, you're allowed to change your opinion on someone, and since we came back, he's been our best player, but bar none. He's been absolutely brilliant, and I thought it was quite telling today that even though Nakamba came back in the side, you'd have expected Nakamba to be at the base of the diamond, but Smith just didn't want to move him from his position in front of the back four because he's been so effective, and I thought that was pretty telling. The thing that worries me is he's coming to form, he's playing well. If that continues, he won't be Villa next season. Yeah. And that's the problem with these kind of transfers, and that's the problem with the transfer that we've had with Luis, the kind of transfer that we've got going. We'll make a little bit of money, but can we be trusted to spend it wisely? I'm really interested to see what happens with Sousa in the summer, because to me, if he goes, that's a complete admission from the people above him of failure, that hasn't worked, and we needed it to work, and it didn't. And I've said it in numerous podcasts that I do. I'd penny for the owners' thoughts at the moment. I would absolutely love to know what they're thinking, because they cannot be impressed by this.
No, absolutely not. It's a business at the end of the day, and they want to be a Premier League club. That's what they invested in, getting the team back up there, and one season up there isn't good enough. Before we move on, Dan, I just want to give a quick shout out to Purity Ale, who are sponsoring this post-match pint, and we have some more Purity Ale to give away. There it is. Lovely. I pointed the wrong way. I get so confused. There it is. So Purity Ale have a brew tube, which is 3 cans, and a t-shirt to give away to one lucky viewer. We're running this competition on Twitter. The tweet is already out there. That's some of the prizes you can win there. You don't get the male model, unfortunately, for some. So all you need to do is follow the Villa View and follow Purity Ale as well, and make sure you retweet that tweet. We'll retweet it so it's at the top of the Villa View's feed as well. And if you do want to get involved with some Purity Ale, it makes the games a lot easier to watch. You can get a 10% discount with the code that's just below.
Good pointing.
Hashtag Villa View to make sure you get your 10% discount off there. That would be both good for us, good for Purity, and good for you, because it's good tasting ale at the end of the day. Dan, before we get our next guest on, I just wanted to again go back to that last point with Jay. He says stick with 2 up top against Liverpool. Is that something that you would endorse as well? What do you think?
I mean, does it matter at this point? In all honesty, whatever we do seems to not work. I don't think he will stick with it, regardless of my own opinion. I just don't think he'll stick with it against Liverpool. I think that they'd worry too much about what Liverpool could do against you if you were playing 2 up front. I'd expect to see a similar showing to what we've seen so far, trying to keep it tight. But the key is, if you're keeping it tight, you need something on the break, and we simply have zero pace on the break. So anytime we win the ball back, it breaks down and it comes back at you again, and it's not sustainable, that method of playing. I'm just surprised we seem to be doing it in every single game. You can almost expect it. Liverpool away at Anfield, their tails will be up, they'll all be buzzing. You can almost forgive it and expect it in a game like that. But I feel like we're just seeing it every minute of every game, even today when we're losing 1-0, and it's not good enough.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. All right, let's get our next guest on, all the way from Texas, USA. Mike Pearson is going to join us any second, I reckon. And then we see him. There he is. Mike, is your audio back on? Everything?
Yep.
There. Lovely job. First of all, I know that the situation with coronavirus has got a little bit worse again in Texas and a few states across America. How are you doing? How are your friends? How are your family?
Thanks for asking. It's a nightmare. It's just I'm in a brilliant place for families, and we just can't go anywhere. But yeah, the houses are good. We're sitting in the back gardens, drinking as much as we can, just trying to get the end of it, and hopefully having some football to keep us entertained. But it's not happening with Villa right now. But we're still here.
You can always rely on Villa to boost morale and boost spirits in times like this. Obviously, you're living in America. You're used to sitting and watching Villa on the TV, but I can't imagine you're enjoying what you're seeing since the restart.
No, and I actually hate it with the noise going in as well, because I do think we need the crowd, and it's a weird kind of dynamic of seeing TV, knowing that the whole thing can either ruin the morale or it can really pull the ball into the net. And so to watch it the way that we're watching it, I don't feel like I'm getting that full effect. So you just watch it as someone who grew up on Villa, knowing what it feels like in that stadium, and it's not a good place to be. I feel like there's a lot of people that have got no confidence at all, and Jack's frustrated as anything, and it's frustrating the rest of us as well. You can see it on social media, you can see it on the comments here, you can hear it in your voice, Dan, with your really positive podcast recently.
My head's gone.
No, absolutely, I can see it, and it's sad to hear, because you are, and this channel has always been the light of positivity. But what I've always thought is that it doesn't matter. We've come up too early. What we brought in was to fill gaps, and unfortunately, not good enough. The one thing I'm seeing positively is we have a very, very strong nucleus, and I know that I'm not talking about Jack or John or Tyrone. I think around it, there's some good championship players there, and I hate thinking about that for next season, but I have to, because I don't think we're going to get out of this right now.
What do you think, Mike, about the kind of call for blooding some of our younger players, like Vasilev and Lewis Barry, and these kind of guys that haven't played much senior football yet? Is now the opportunity to try that, or are we still too close to kind of take that gamble, if you like?
I'm a big fan of bringing in youth, always have. I just don't think they're good enough just yet, and I think they're young enough, or they're too young. Vasilev has been really, especially for the American side of things, you look at what he could be and what it could mean to the fan base over here. We all want him to do well, but seeing his bit parts, would he do any worse? Possibly not. But could he help? I don't think so. And to a point where, why would you ruin his confidence? Bring him around the team, bring him around the first squad, let him know that he's there and thereabouts, and then when we get to the next season, start it. Put him in cup games and get him going. But Louis Barry's 16 and he's just come in from a very, very different type of world with Barcelona. I'm not going to ruin what we've got there. We've got obviously something very special. What I do get worried about, though, is we've got these young kids like Keenan Davis, who I've screamed out for. I think he's a great player. And we're not playing to his strengths. We're crossing the ball in from 30 yards back on the right or the left. Floated balls. Sama needs dynamic, whip on the ball, straight to the byline and in. They're not playing to the strengths. If we're going to have two big men up top, why the hell are we not putting the ball where they need it, right on that 6-yard line? Because they're playing with their back to goal. No matter what kind of strength Keenan has got, he can't drag it in from there, and he can't get his head to flip it behind him. So all of it's quite frustrating, and at the end of the day, it does come down to the coaching staff. And I do agree with you, Dan, that I think the recruitment's been bad, but Dean, as a coach, as much as we want him to do well, should have the tools within his own skill set to make them a better team. That's what he's always done, and for some reason, it's not happening.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to what you just said about coming up a year early, because if you go back and look, I tweeted yesterday, if you go back and look at the interviews with Purslow in the summer, what he's talking about, and talking about what we're going to do and what our transfer policy is, I've not seen it replicated. So I know I do keep defending Dean Smith, and obviously I said I'd give him the season regardless, and I think he should be given years. Aston Villa, that's just my personal opinion. I know there'll be many people that don't agree with that, but I just simply think his hands are tied. I don't think there's enough quality there at all. Again, on the bench today, I don't know about you, what you're thinking, but we're bringing people on that aren't going to change anything because there isn't anything.
Well, why would you hurt anybody's confidence in that? I mean, it's already down as it is. The players we've got, you look at someone like Neil Taylor, Matty Target, Championship, all the way, maybe not even Neil Taylor being at that level, but if you throw someone like a Vasilev or a Louis Barry on right now, given experience, fine, we can talk about that all day. But what we've got right now is the ability to maybe do what Purslow said, showcase some of the talents that we've got, and maybe they can go for a profit. Who knew Douglas Luiz might be the one person that's going to get us some money back at the end of the season? And that's what he's doing with them. Marvellous will stay. Most of them will stay. But to your point, Dan, I think the one thing that's bad with Smith is they've given him that head coach role. And I know he's worked with people in the past above him, but he needs to be a manager of this club. He needs ownership, and he doesn't have that. That's the difference. And you can see it when someone says, oh, he's the manager. Oh, you can call me whatever you like. I'm the head coach, this, that, the other. He knows that he doesn't have the power. And I've been very impressed with Purslow. I've met him in person when he came to Minnesota, and all the American fans were thinking, this is it. We've got a great stable part of the club pushing everybody forward. But he's made some mistakes, and I do agree with what you've said with Suso, and I think that's going to hurt us in the end. And so this summer, well, as short as the summer will be, there's got to be some home truth said. But I, in all my heart, would stick with Dean Smith. But he has to be in his role.
That was one of the points I was going to say, especially this year more than any, where we're going to have this shortened summer window, probably a shortened transfer window as well. We're seeing it in all sports. You know, you don't have this kind of opportunity to bed in players or get loads of new faces in, because you're just not going to have that time to make them feel comfortable. So really, you're working with what you have, and to a point, it sounds like Villa are going to possibly lose 2, 3, maybe 4 of their top players, and therefore bringing a load of new guys in and shipping a load of the guys that you didn't think were good enough for the Premier League out could be even more catastrophic for Villa.
Yeah, but I think we've got a good squad for the Championship, and I think if we lose Jack, Tyrone, John, you know, maybe even one of the guys up top, fine, it's good. We've got some players around them. But we are not the finished article. We've been here 150 years. We'll be here a lot longer than this last couple of years. It's awful, but we just have to keep going forward.
Just finally, Mike, you look at the league table. I don't know whether Adam can put it back on the screen for us. Amazingly, you look at it and you think, if results go our way again at the weekend, which they have done thus far, we're not in a terrible position. But it's just you cannot see us scoring a goal or winning a game. And West Ham, Watford and Bournemouth, I'm sure, are feeling exactly the same way as we are right now. But I feel like we're the worst team in the league at the moment, especially from what I've seen back watching us since this break. We're just awful.
We are awful, but there's that. I mean, it goes back to 2015, 16, and the few seasons before that. We don't want to be in a season, or we don't want to be that team that relies on teams around us that are just as bad or as worse. But I think this season, if we do get through it, we scrape through, we've got the ownership, we've got the management, we've got the nucleus of a squad that can push us on. So all the negativity of, I think we're going to go down, and I think we will. But what if it goes to that last day against West Ham? What if it is that one game that you've got Jack Grealish, Tyrone Mings, John McGinn, who have had 8 games? We'll all believe that we've got a chance. Would you bet against us? So you can imagine the memes that will be coming out, but I'll be supporting them no matter what, and I'm sure you guys will as well. It's awful. It's not fun. But we watch your football through all this stuff going on in the world, and we've just got to stay positive, lads. I mean, I love the Villa. I've watched them for 13 years being over here and all my life before that, and that's not going to stop, be it as big and as grand as we can watch it be in the Premier League or on one screen with Jack Woodward. So it doesn't really.
Christ.
every opportunity, it doesn't matter. Mike, thank you so much for joining us, massively appreciate it, and hopefully we can speak to you again before the end of the season and next year too, wherever
Thanks,
we are.
Mark.
Mike's overwhelming positivity there, Dan. I mean, we haven't shared it in the last couple of weeks for sure, but it is infectious a little bit in terms of, there are a huge amount of other things going on. Football has been affected by that clearly, and it is part of everyday life. It's part of the British culture. But there are bigger things, and if we do go down, we go down, and we stick together, and then we try and go up again. It's everyone we've had on this week has been backing Smith, and I mean, just a little bit of Mike's optimism seems to have rubbed off on me. I don't feel quite as bad as I did 42 minutes ago.
I mean, probably doing you a favour speaking to other people other than just me, because I imagine I'm probably not helping the situation. But I can only say what I'm seeing, and if you look at the league table, I should be going into that thinking, 6 games to stay up. Come on, let's do it. We can do it. But the 4 games I've watched so far, I've not seen anything that's given me that belief that we can, and I'm not sure the players believe. At the moment, they can come after the game and say whatever, but what I am seeing on the pitch is giving me no hope. The only thing that's giving me hope is that there's teams that are just as useless as us at the moment who also don't look like they're going to win a game, but I don't see that going on forever. West Ham will win at some point. Watford will win at some point. Bournemouth will probably win at some point as well. Norwich might even win a game and only be 3 points off us. I mean, they've got Arsenal as their next game. We know what Arsenal can be like. Another team we should have beaten that we didn't. And I'm just worried because I cannot see where the next points are coming from.
Well, let's have a look at the next fixtures then, just to
Let's not.
pile on the misery a little bit for all of us. Obviously, Liverpool is the next one, and we'll be back here doing another post-match pint in association with Purity at 6:30 after that game. After that, we've got Manchester United coming up, then Crystal Palace. You look at those games and you think, before coronavirus, you look at both of those games and kind of go, okay, we could do something there. There might be some possibilities, but right now it doesn't feel like anything is possible. There you go. That's all of the clubs there that are around us, and you can still look at some of those, and I think West Ham have a relatively tough schedule. Yeah, there. Bournemouth as well. It's no walk in the park.
They'll win a couple of games. West Ham out of them. You look at them, and I think they'll do it. They'll win. They've got a great record against the big London teams at home over the years, and maybe the crowd not being there will completely null and void that. But they tend to turn up in those games over the years, and I'm just worried. We never beat Man U. Man U could come and play in their slippers at Villa Park, and they always seem to beat us. We've struggled against Man U my entire life. The next one against Liverpool, I've got zero hope for it. I just can't see us beating them. I know we've beaten their kids once this season, but they won't play their kids. They'll play the majority of their first team still, and they'll be playing in third gear probably with the pipes out. But at the moment, that'll be good enough to beat us because they've got some phenomenal talent, and we're just struggling. We are struggling. Whatever team we pick, whatever formation we pick, every game is going to be a struggle. I think at the moment.
Just to pick you up on that, with the pipes out, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Oh, right, okay.
Pipe and slippers on playing. Playing half-hearted, chilling, relaxing. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Fine. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I know this is a Villa show, but to touch on Liverpool for a second, delighted for James Milner to win another Premier League. I really liked James Milner when he was at Villa. I know a few fans hold it against him for leaving, but to me, he went on and won bigger things, and I think we'll see the same with Grealish. So yeah, I'm pleased to see him lifting the trophy again.
Yeah, fair play to Liverpool. They've been far and away the best side. The margin of points is absolutely phenomenal, and to go from winning the Champions League last season after having lost in the final the year before, and then to come so close last season in the league, and then bounce back and win it in the style that they have, I think they're an incredible team, and I think they're a team and a manager that everyone should look up to.
Yeah, I agree. Any closing remarks before we sign off?
I just almost feel like I need to apologise to all Villa fans and to you and to Purity, because I don't. I mean, the season we went down, I was obviously very negative, but I wasn't doing anything like this. I have always been positive throughout the entirety of the Villa View, but I think I'm missing being there. So I think that's not really helping my mood with it. I'm just finding it all really uninspiring from us at the moment, and I'm just trying to be honest and saying what I think, and apologies if people don't like it and it's not what they're used to from me, but I just don't see us staying up.
I think you can only, like we talked about earlier with the Suso comments and with the transfer business, you can only be honest in that moment, and if it doesn't work out, and hopefully it doesn't work out, your negativity at this point, because we end up staying up by some
fantastic
miracle, then that's absolutely great. Yeah, but you can only be who you are right now, and I think until the end of the season we'll continue to come on here and do these, and we'll do the Luke Live lounges as well every Tuesday night, and we'll be as true to who we are as possible. And if that's negative one week and over the moon the next, then hopefully we see more over the moons than negative.
I just want to get up off my chair, mate. I'm sat there and I'm as mobile as Villa going forward, because I'm not moving, because there's nothing that's getting me excited, and as a football fan that's what you want. And as a Villa fan, you want some excitement to be up off your chair. I didn't for 1 second in that game at any point think we were going to score a goal. I saw nothing, and that's pretty uninspiring, isn't it?
Well, listen, we can only do our small part here at the Villa View, so we are giving a brew tube and a t-shirt away from Purity, so thank you to them for that. So make sure you enter the competition on Twitter, follow Purity Ale, follow the Villa View, make sure you retweet and you comment below as well, because we want to give a little bit of joy to somebody even in these tough times. And if you don't win the competition, you can use our code #VillaView to get 10% off at checkout at Purity Ale. So make sure you do that. We'll be back on Tuesday night with the Luke Live Lounge in association with Luke Roper, talking everything Villa. And yeah, we do. I kind of have taken a little bit from Mike and our guest Jay as well. Was relatively positive. We've got to stay positive as much as we can. Hopefully by Tuesday there'll be some glimmer of hope for us to hold on to. You don't look convinced, but that's all it is as fans. We can't affect things on the game. Unfortunately, we can't even affect things in the stadium right now. But we got to remain as positive as we can and hope that something turns around. And it's a tough task, but we're still in it. That's the one glimmer of hope right now, that we're not out of the running. It's not even like we're 3 points behind. We're level right now. So we just need to hope that Dean and his team and the team have something to pull out of the bag on Sunday. That's it. So let's do it. We'll see you again on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. UK time. Join us for the Luke Live Lounge, and we'll speak again soon. Up the Villa.